Hello, you beautiful people. So, I'm guessing you clicked on this video because you're interested in Mydei just like me, and want to know what his kit does in detail and how he functions overall gameplay-wise, right? Well, fortunately for you, you've somehow managed to land on the perfect video to get this info. Today, I'm mainly going to discuss about all the fresh info that we got on Mydei's kit just a few hours ago from a very reliable source. Along with this, we'll also take a look at his overall playstyle and his team synergies as well. Basically, this video is going to cover pretty much everything that you need to know about Mydei's kit, and honestly, I like his kit a lot because this kit is quite literally based on a berserker-type playstyle. Before we begin though, I'm just going to say the usual disclaimer that this kit is totally based on a very early kit info, and I'm pretty confident that some parts of Mydei's actual kit will be different from this current version, so do keep that in mind. With that being said, let's begin without wasting any more of your time or energy. Okay, I'm guessing most of you already know the very basics, but for the few people out there who somehow still don't know, Mydei is going to be an imaginary type unit who follows the path of destruction, and he is going to play the role of a HP scaling main DPS on your team. Honestly, Mydei might not be the king of heroes like Gilgamesh, but he is definitely going to rule the HP manipulation meta when he releases in the second half of patch 3.1. Basically, his entire kit is focused around consuming his own HP, and after he consumes it, he uses this HP to enhance all of his other abilities and his own personal damage as well. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking that Mydei's kit description sounds somewhat familiar, right? Well, I completely understand why you would think that, and I have to say, when I first read his kit, I also thought that this kit belonged to Blade's new form or something like that. In reality though, Mydei's kit was probably the paradise that Blade was trying to reach all this time. Alright, taking a look at his kit in detail, I'm actually going to start with Mydei's talent first rather than discussing his basic abilities, because I feel like the rest of his kit other than his talent is genuinely very basic and simple. Okay, so his talent states that whenever Mydei consumes or loses his HP during a battle, the total amount of HP that he lost is accumulated into a blood pool. Basically, Blood Pool is a mechanic uniquely designed for Mydei's kit, where all of his lost or drained HP is stored, until it reaches a certain or particular threshold of HP loss. Now, after reaching this certain threshold, which just means that after Mydei loses a certain amount of HP based on his max HP, rather than getting a simple follow-up attack similar to Blade, Mydei gets an entire enhanced state specifically designed for him, somewhat similar to Firefly's enhanced state. Along with all this, as soon as he enters his enhanced state, he immediately gets a 100% action advance and resets his blood pool mechanism, which is just kind of insane. Anyways, talking a little bit about his enhanced state, as soon as he enters it, he increases his own taunt value by a significant amount. Now, if he has a higher taunt value, this pretty much means that he will be more likely to get targeted by the enemies and lose more HP, which is basically what his kit is designed around. Other than the taunt value increase, Mydei's max HP also increases when he enters his enhanced state, and all the HP that he lost to activate the state also gets restored entirely, which is just done to provide him with a little bit more survivability. We're somehow still not done with all the buffs that he gets during his enhanced state though, because along with everything else, Mydei also reduces his own defense during this state. So he loses more HP from the incoming enemy attacks, and all this lost HP gets accumulated in the blood pool mechanism. Okay, with that, we're finally done with all the buffs that Mydei gets during his enhanced state, and I have to say, all of these buffs are very nicely designed and perfectly synergize with his overall kit. Alright, as you probably already know, in HSR, whenever a character enters an enhanced state, one or both of their abilities also gets enhanced, right? Well, Mydei isn't an exception to this rule, and whenever he enters his own enhanced state, his skill also gets upgraded into an enhanced skill. Now, while Mydei is in his enhanced state, his blood pool mechanism can store up to a certain amount of his own HP based on his max HP, and just like before, whenever he drains his HP or loses HP due to an enemy attack, all of that lost HP gets accumulated into the blood pool. So, I just mentioned that the blood pool can store up to a certain amount of his own HP, right? Well, whenever the blood pool accumulates enough HP to hit this certain amount, Mydei immediately gets an action and his next enhanced skill gets buffed even more, essentially making it a double enhanced skill. So, we're actually getting a character who can further enhance his already enhanced skill even more, which genuinely sounds kind of broken. Honestly, I think that they did this because they looked at Blade's kit and saw that he can enhance his own basic attack, so in return, they're going to let Mydei enhance his already enhanced skill even more. Lastly, I just want to quickly mention that a few days ago, a source somewhat hinted that Mydei might have an inbuilt one-time self-revive in his kit. Basically, for a single time during the entire fight, Mydei can revive himself using this self-revive, and as soon as he uses it, this self-revive will bring him back, but it will also end his enhanced state. In my opinion, this is a pretty good quality of life or utility feature, especially for a berserker-type kit like Mydei's kit, and I have to just ask a question. Why didn't they give Blade a self-revive in his kit when he's quite literally an immortal guy? With that though, we're finally done discussing Mydei's entire talent in detail, and at least in my opinion, his kit genuinely sounds really fun to play due to the high risk and high reward type scenario. Next up, moving on from his talent, the rest of Mydei's kit is a little less interesting as most of his gameplay mechanics are included in his talent, but still, I won't say it's a completely boring kit. So let's quickly take a look at his basic abilities. Alright, starting with his basic attack, Mydei is going to be the third character in the entire game to have a HP scaling basic after Lynx and Fushuan, and this feature alone makes his basic attack entirely unique as compared to the rest of the cast. His unenhanced skill is relatively normal as well because it just states that upon being used, it deals imaginary damage based on Mydei's max HP in a blast type radius. The only salvageable part of his unenhanced skill is that whenever Mydei uses it, it drains a decent amount of his HP, which just allows to accumulate to this in his blood pool and enters his enhanced state faster. Lastly, his ultimate is also pretty simple as it just deals damage based on Mydei's max HP in a blast type radius similar to his skill, and also provides him with a little bit of healing, so that's somewhat nice. Finally, moving on from his base kit, let's quickly skim through his major traces as well. By the way, just want to say, I added this traces part to the video as like a last-minute decision due to some delay in the info, so I do apologize if this part looks and sounds somewhat different as compared to the rest of the video. Okay, so pretty much all of Mydei's traces are totally focused on increasing his damage even further and providing his kit with some nice quality of life features. As I mentioned before in the video, Mydei might have a self-revive in his kit, and just a few hours ago, a reliable source actually confirmed that he does have a self-revive, and it will most likely be located in his first trace. Honestly, I think Mydei having a built-in self-revive in kit is genuinely really good, and it helps balance out his extreme HP draining by providing him with an extra lifeline if he ever needs it. Next up, taking a look at his second trace. This one is very simple, and it just provides Mydei with some extra crit rate depending on his max HP, which is pretty nice. All in all, this trace helps Mydei do some consistent damage, and since it scales based on his max HP, this extra crit rate should be very easy to obtain. Lastly, as for his final trace, it increases Mydei's blood pool stacking whenever he is attacked or takes damage from an enemy. Basically, this trace makes it much easier for Mydei to enter his enhanced state because it increases his blood pool stacking whenever he is attacked, which will most likely be extremely common since he is a destruction unit who has an additional taunt built in his kit. Overall, this trace perfectly synergizes with his kit and makes it much easier for Mydei to enter his enhanced state. Anyways, with that, I've covered all the fresh info that we got on Mydei's kit, and as I've already stated before, I really love this type of playstyle quite a lot, and I'm most likely going to pull for him as well. I have to say though, I kind of feel bad for all the dedicated Blade mains out there because Mydei's kit is basically like an upgraded version of Blade's kit with a little bit of tweaking, and that's pretty much it. I kind of wanted his kit to be a little bit more creative, and now I'm curious, how do you guys feel about Mydei's kit? Also, if you ended up watching until the end, I want to say thanks, and you might want to consider subscribing as well. With that being said, I really love y'all, and I will see you in another one.